welcome to Above Replacement Radio. I am your host, Chris Gianta. You know what Christy Mathewson wasn't worried about? SIERA. When you're thinking about Pedro Ciriaco, I mean, the only one that can compete is maybe Hannes Wagner's 1908 season. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Kern.
Like, if we just clip together every time we've talked about him on other people's profiles, we've done a Mickey Cochran episode.
I can't get past Rabbit Marinville. It's not necessarily Hall of Fame. It's not necessarily above average, but we can guarantee you we are better than just the standard replacement level college sophomore.
And welcome to Above Replacement Radio. We're talking baseball kind of whenever. I'm your host, Chris Gianta. Over there across from me, as you cannot see on YouTube, unfortunately or fortunately, is Daniel Curran. How you doing, Daniel?
Chris, I'm doing well. It's fortunate for us
that
people can't see us on YouTube. We're finally doing a show in person. It's been way too long since we've done that.
Yeah.
We had a lot of roadblocks, but we were still able to record a couple shows. We have a lot to catch up on, so we're just doing everything today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We know that the MLB is currently in lockout, but we still have a lot to catch up on.
Yeah.
With the with the old Major League Baseball, as there were some things that were able to happen during lockout, like Hall of Fame stuff that obviously we love to talk about. But first, we must address the remaining 15 teams that we have yet to address about the free agents, the end of free agency block. Between, I guess for the listeners, between episode 165 and 166, what happened in the MLB. It was a bunch of stuff. So we talked a bit over an hour last week about the AL East, NL East, and NL Central, and now we have the AL Central, AL West, and NL West to talk about. There's a lot to talk about for sure. And it's funny because the teams we're talking about largely were not first place teams, playoff teams. It's teams that are kind of emerging, which is exciting for the league. But we'll start off in the AL Central. The defending AL Central champion Chicago White Sox. The only major move for them was
Kendall
Graveman.
Yeah.
Quality reliever, has definitely found his stride in his major league career. They got him for multiple years, right?
Yes, they got him for 3 years, $24 million.
Yeah, a solid deal for both sides. Kendall Graveman coming off a year in which he threw 56 innings and had a 1.77 ERA, 3.19 FIP, and I would bet his expected ERA is somewhere around there as well. What are our thoughts on the Kendall Graveman move?
Well, I mean, it's definitely interesting because it just loads up the White Sox bullpen. I don't know what they plan on doing with Craig Kimbrell because I know that there were some rumors about trading him. But it's like you got Liam Hendricks, Kendall Graveman, and Craig Kimbrell in that bullpen as of right now.
Right.
Which is pretty cool. I think there are a few concerns about what happened when he went to Houston. His walk numbers doubled. His walks per 9 went from 2.2 to 4.7 between Seattle and Houston after he got traded. The strikeout numbers were actually up quite a bit as well. But, I think if he's going to... But, he also went to a Houston team that needed bullpen help more desperately, so I think that definitely had a lot to do with it. And I feel like his situation is going to be more similar to what it was in Seattle, in Chicago, because he's not going to have to be the best reliever in the bullpen because there's one, maybe two people ahead of him in there.
Right. He doesn't have to shoulder the load. It is funny looking at his baseball savant is actually very funny to look at because you look at 2020, he had a 5.79 ERA. 2021, he had a 1.77. Yet his expected ERA was the exact same in both years.
Yeah.
So that's funny how that works out. So he definitely got unlucky in 2020.
You know what you should be getting.
Yeah.
It's like you always talk about a guy who's very consistent. It's like, well, you know what you're gonna get. With Kendall Graveman, it's like, you know what you should be getting.
Yeah.
What was his expected ERA exactly?
3.71.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you know what you should be getting. Exactly. So yeah, I mean, he's a quality right-handed reliever in the back of that bullpen. You know, it's I mean, it's good overall for the White Sox because A, you know, Kendall Graveman, quality reliever, and B, it's like now you don't have as much pressure on the other guys. That's what an acquisition like this does.
Yeah.
You don't have to, you know, say Liam Hendricks has had 2 days of work in a row. You know, you have two more.
I mean, if
more closers.
If any reliever can do 3 days of work in a row consistently, it's Liam Hendricks.
That is true. That is true. But say Tony La Russa wanted to save him, you got two other decent closers, or at least Graveman had some time as a closer. He wasn't like a permanent closer.
It is very funny how the White Sox biggest issue is Tony La Russa's bullpen management. So Rick Hahn's like, we're just gonna give him every good reliever we possibly can.
Yeah.
He cannot possibly mess this up.
Yeah. Yeah, he cannot. Yeah, if he has just like the 2015 Royals bullpen, he's not gonna mess it up.
You can't possibly. It's like, imagine the 2015 Royals. It's like Wade Davis is sitting in the bullpen. I'm trying to remember who the other relievers.
I was gonna say Luke Hoshaver, but he was good.
Any guy I think of, it's like actually that guy was really good.
Yeah,
that year. I don't know. Wade Davis had like a generational year in both 2014 and 15. It's like, here comes Franklin Morales to close out the game.
Excuse me, sorry. That was said. I was taking a drink of water. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tony La Russa.
To be fair, he had a 3.18 ERA that year, but Wade Davis had an 0.94.
Yeah. Tony La Russa tapping his left arm. Franklin Morales coming out of the pen to try to
close out. It was a one-run game in Game 6 of the ALCS. The Blue Jays had the heat of their order up.
All righties.
All righties.
It's Batista, Encarnacion, and Donaldson
yeah.
coming up. They're bringing out Franklin Morales.
Because Wade Davis pitched in Game 5 2 days ago.
Yeah, in Toronto.
Franklin Morales is not seeing the game all series.
He is the most rested in that bullpen. Yeah, that's funny. You've got Graveman, Kimbrel, Hendricks from the right side. You got Bummer and Crochet from the left side. Just very deep bullpen.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So good for the White Sox adding to that. I don't think there was really anything more necessary they had to do. Like they have their foundation that they've signed for many years, or just have control of for many years, especially on the offensive side.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. It's like they built, they grew an offense, they home grew an offense especially, and then they started building a bullpen and a pitching staff. I say if you want to still do stuff, try to sign Carlos Rodon at the end of the lockout.
Yep.
Because he's probably the best pitcher that's still out there. They didn't get any starting pitching, and I mean, Dallas Keuchel's probably still going to be in that rotation, which is
right. Yeah, not ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they got Lance Lynn, Giolito, Cease, and
exactly.
Who's going to be their Game 4 starter?
I wonder if they try. I mean, maybe not because of his injury history, but maybe what if they tried again with Kopech as a starter? Now that they have so much bullpen relief.
That would be interesting.
Because he was a long reliever anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I should.
Every relief appearance was 2 to 3 innings.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of trained him to be someone who could start potentially. I'm just going to take a look at his game logs real quick. Game logs 2021. If it loads up properly, this thing does not work. Okay.
The only thing that stops me from thinking that is, like I said, he's had Tommy John surgery in the past. They probably don't want to push his innings. He's still very young.
Yeah.
What is he going into age 5 or something?
Yeah, I don't know. 16 of his 44 appearances were 2 or more innings.
Yeah.
And he made He made 3 starts last year.
He's going into his age 26 season.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel like that's probably something that's above like Tony La Russa. That's something that like the training staff will kind of consult.
Not to mention, this was also his first time back in the majors after Tommy John this year.
Right.
Like if you look at his baseball reference page, it's literally 2018, 2021.
Yeah, and there's been like controversy previously with guys who were like coming off Tommy John surgery and might be on an innings limit. Shout out to the 2012 playoffs.
Yep.
With Steven Strasburg. But, not that I know his innings limit was like 160. I don't think Kopech's getting near there, but
no.
But
I'd say Kopech gets like 130.
Yeah,
at
right.
most.
Yeah. So like but, everyone can be different. But yeah, it would be an upgrade over like Dallas Keuchel if they wanted to do that. It just depends on where the White Sox think he is at. But they did get Kendall Graveman and some relief help once again. Just a very, very deep roster. And then but they were not the most active in the American League Central in the offseason. The most active was or actually the Tigers did not finish in second. We'll get to the Tigers in a minute. Cleveland didn't really do anything.
It's Cleveland.
Yeah, we were joking that like at this point you would expect them to at least have trade talks with Jose Ramirez, but not yet.
Yeah, no, I don't think. Well, actually, yeah, the Guardians did not do anything that I know of.
Oh yeah, the Cleveland Guardians. I keep forgetting that they're officially that now.
I was thinking, I was like, wait, did we say the old name there? I think we just said Cleveland.
Yeah,
which it works.
I've been saying Cleveland for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Guardians, they have not inquired on trading Jose Ramirez just yet. Maybe it's just because it's like when they do have trade talks, it's for months, and then they couldn't do it during the lockout. So it's like, what's the point?
Exactly. I think like on the free agency thing, it says they just signed Eniel de los Santos to a minor league deal. Does that dude like pitch in the majors? Like I've seen him in so many transactions over the years.
Eniel de los Santos.
Yeah, like he was with the Phillies, Pirates. Now he's okay. Yeah, he has pitched in the majors. Yeah. Anyway, the Cleveland Guardians, did they do anything of note? No, not really. They really didn't.
No. Yeah.
To be fair, that front office had a lot to worry about in the last few weeks before the lockout. Like, getting sued by the roller derby team.
Yes. That was troubling.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you can't be going out there adding talent when you got the roller derby coming at your back. It's just it's too much to ask from an organization. But all right, now to the Tigers. They made the big move of the division. They did. After signing Eduardo Rodriguez to a 5-year, $77 million deal, which we talked about in 2 episodes or 3 episodes ago, actually. Yeah, the last when we talked about Eduardo Rodriguez was the last time we were in studio, I think. Yeah, that makes sense. So after doing that deal, they signed Javier Baez to a 6-year, $140 million deal. A defensive mogul, one of the best defenders in baseball, always at the top of, defensive runs saved leaderboards, defensive wins above replacement leaderboards, outs above average leaderboards. Whatever defensive metric, Javier Baez is always near the top. And along with that, always, for the most part, above average offense to go with that. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure nobody is happier about that signing than Eduardo Rodriguez. Yeah, absolutely. A quality defensive shortstop behind him is not just quality, like one of the best defensive shortstops. Exactly. He gets, $140 million. It will cover his age 29 through 34 seasons. We knew the Tigers were going to be heavy on the shortstop market, and they got a very good shortstop. They did.
Tigers shortstops had -9 outs above average last year, which was the 24th, which is ranked 24th in the majors. Obviously, one of the worst. And Baez is gonna fix that. Like probably his biggest strength is fielding while also being a solid hitter.
Yes, it is. Like, I was looking at his Baseball Reference because initially I thought like maybe this is a little bit of an overpay, and then I looked at his Baseball Reference, and I mean I know that wins above replacement isn't like the end all be all, but in 2019, 3.8 defensive wins above replacement. Like that's crazy to have in a season. Like
that's nuts.
Like it's just you don't really see a whole lot of almost 4 defensive wins above replacement in a season.
Yeah, like I don't look at D-WAR too much. The only time I really look at it is for like StatCast Hall of Fame metrics or StatHead Hall of Fame metrics, I should say, because it's available. But like 3.8 doesn't happen on accident.
Yeah, no.
That's nuts.
Yeah, he had 31 defensive runs saved from just the shortstop position that year in 2019. Yeah. I think I should get more stats on Javier Baez.
All right. While we do that, I'll just talk for a little bit. The Tigers have made a lot of, this is obviously a big move, but they've made a ton of moves to improve their defense, and I think that's going to be one of the most interesting things to look at going into their season because they have a very young pitching staff. A lot of which, some of them have walk problems, most particularly Tarek Skubal. Matt Manning, I think, also had some walk issues as well last year. And I think that, they're going to try to preach, pitch into contact a little bit more, especially with the defense that's going to be behind them. Javier Baez, that's a tremendous defensive upgrade over anything they had before. Obviously, Eduardo Rodriguez, I think 316 batting average against on ground balls. That just is not supposed to happen at any point ever in the majors.
Yeah, exactly.
And also Tucker Barnhart as a catcher, that's a really good defensive catcher. That's someone who's going to help out a lot with the young staff. I think you're going to see a lot of internal improvement as well as the new guys coming in and making an impact. And I think that's the thing to look at with the 2022 Detroit Tigers.
Right. Yeah. A young team, as you mentioned. And getting this veteran leadership, and I know Eduardo Rodriguez wasn't a crazy big part of the 2018 team, but the 2 champions also, two teams or 2 players that have been on championship teams, and played at least a little bit of a role in that. Also is. I mean,
Erod pitched solidly in the postseason last year.
Yes, correct. He did, especially in Game 4 of the ALDS. Game 3 of the
ALCS.
Yeah. It's kind of what heading into the offseason we expected the Tigers to make some noise, and they're not disappointing whatsoever.
No, they're not.
Which is good to see. It'll be nice to see some competition in the American League Central. I don't think obviously they're not really to the White Sox level yet, but they're getting there.
There's good reason to watch the Tigers next year.
Very much so. They've got some exciting players.
Not to mention just the Hinch effect. I think we saw the Tigers outperform their expectations last year in A.J. Hinch's first year as manager.
Right.
You get someone like Baez in there. I think he's gonna flourish under that management. I mean, who else? He's played for David Ross. He's played for Luis Rojas. Similar types of managers in a way, but I think A.J. Hinch just has another level of managerial skills.
They were pretty lucky to get him for sure. And as you mentioned with these young players Mize, Skubal, Manning, they're all likely going to improve. So if they keep improving and the team keeps adding these guys, I mean, the level of improvement is going to be pretty great. Baseball Reference War really likes Javier Baez. Since 2018, Javier Baez is 10th in wins above replacement. Ahead of him is, in this order, Mookie Betts, Mike Trout, Marcus Simeon, Alex Bregman, Matt Chapman, Trevor Story, Jose Ramirez, Nolan Arenado, and Aaron Judge. and then it's Javier Baez.
Yeah.
So one of the best players you could ask for, and I imagine he is first in defensive wins above replacement. It would be a surprise if it wasn't. He is third behind
Who cares?
Matt Chapman and Nick Ahmed,
Yeah.
who are two fantastic defenders who have each won a couple Gold Gloves themselves. So yeah.
Let's also not forget, like, from I believe it was May 8th on, the Tigers were above 500.
Yeah.
I'll find the exact record in a second.
Because
Like, this is a team that's also coming off a much better 2021 than most people realize.
Right. Because before May 8th they were like
10-24.
Yeah, they were 10-24.
From that on they went 68 and 61.
68 and 61.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's without Rodriguez and Javi Baez.
Yeah.
And with a very young Casey Mize, Tarek Skubal, and Matt
Like,
Manning.
I think there's a reason to believe all three of those guys are going to take steps forward. Not to mention, we might also be seeing Spencer Torkelson next year.
True.
We might be seeing Riley Green next year.
Right.
Like, some guys, like, you still look up and down the lineup, and there's still some guys where it's just like, okay, I could see them having better or wanting better.
Yeah. It also, like, we don't know what the exact results of the lockout will be.
Mm-hmm.
There's, potential of expansion of the playoffs, and Tigers would be a team
that would benefit from that.
That definitely benefits from the expansion of the playoffs. And I mean, even without it, decent wild card contenders, I could see that happening for sure.
Just going up and down their projected lineup right now, you have Akil Baddoo, Robbie Grossman, Javier Baez, Jaime Candelario, Jonathan Scope, Miguel Cabrera, Spencer Torkelson, Tucker Barnhart, Victor Reyes. I would love to see someone that isn't Victor Reyes in center field, personally.
Austin
Jackson. And his 284 projected OBP. Actually, no, that was his OBP last year.
I
don't think they've done the Zips projections for the Tigers yet. I know they're doing the NL right now.
Right.
At least most recently, I saw they're doing the NL Central. And then you look up and down the rotation: Eduardo Rodriguez, Casey Mize, Tarek Skubal, Matt Manning, Tyler Alexander. Rodriguez is the oldest one in that rotation, going into his age 29 season. So this is a very young team.
Yes, it is, and adding some veteran talent who are not like too old, like guys that are still in their prime.
Yeah.
Very much so. So yeah, good move on the Tigers' end, because it does seem like, Corey Seeger was crazy expensive. He's, we'll get into his signing later, and Carlos Correa seems to be kind of waiting until
they offered Correa 10 years, $275 million. He's gonna get more than that.
Yeah, especially given what Seeger got.
Yeah.
He's going to get much, much more than that. But yeah, good on the Tigers' end. They got a quality shortstop. It's funny because in MLB The Show, I play Road to the Show.
Yeah.
And it starts off in 2021, and then obviously there's the free agents, and my Road to the Show player was on the Twins, and Javier Baez ended up on the Tigers. So parallel universe.
That's perfect.
It
And in Road to the Show, when like the defense is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
that's gonna be Javier Baez in Detroit.
Yes.
But like in MLB The Show, I know you don't play Diamond Dynasty, but it's like you have like these missions that you have to do to unlock like certain players, or like to get closer to unlocking certain players, and they make the defense absolutely like they ramp that up.
Yeah.
It's like they make the greatest plays you would ever see.
Yeah.
It's like when MLB Network does like the plays of the week, the plays of the year, plays of the month, whatever. Like they would be number one every single time.
Yeah, like just like a 110 BABIP against.
Literally, yeah. You do the defense. It's literally like the Cardinals on steroids.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, Cardinals on the 2021 Cardinals on steroids.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Absolutely ridiculous. Some of the plays that they make. The people who play MLB The Show know what I'm talking about.
yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, Javier Baez to the Tigers, and then as for the rest of the AL Central, I mean the Royals, they're just kind of being the Royals. I don't know what else.
Yeah. They were my sleeper team going into 2021, and they looked great for a month.
They did. They were 16-9.
Yeah, they were. I'm trying to see. I know they signed Taylor Clark to be in their bullpen. That was about it.
Yeah.
They've done really nothing.
The Minnesota Twins, meanwhile,
The Royals are also going to have a very young team. They have MJ Melendez, who's probably going to be coming up next year, catcher who I want to say had like a 160 weighted runs created plus in the minors last year.
You mentioned him earlier. He almost had like 40 home runs in the minors.
Something like that. He was crazy good. They have, I think his name is Nick Prado, who's a first baseman. He's also a top prospect in the organization, top 100 in the league. I think that's the Royals' end game this year is just here's some young guys. Let's see how they can develop because that's kind of how they built their team last year, or not last year, but last time they were competitive.
Yeah, keep developing. Brady Singer, Nicky Lopez,
Bobby Witt Jr.
Oh yes, Bobby Witt Jr. We're probably going to see him this year.
We definitely are going to see him this year.
Yeah,
pending any disaster.
Because
he
was drafted in 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that will be very exciting. He'll be a player to watch.
We're gonna have the Whit Merrifield, Bobby Witt Jr. infield.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless you know what, they might put Mondesi at shortstop or Lopez.
Right.
Yeah, no, they'd put Lopez. That's wrong. They would put Lopez in the middle infield for sure.
Yeah.
Fangraphs has Witt playing third. Bobby Witt, I should say.
Yeah.
Whit Merrifield at second, Lopez at short. They have Mondesi DHing, which is very funny.
That is funny. It's like, yeah,
It's like you look at this team, you got Carlos Santana, you got Hunter Dozier, you got Salvador Perez. You know who the DH is? Adalberto Mondesi.
That's actually really funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Royals, they're continuously building. The Twins, they extended Byron Buxton for a 7-year, $100 million contract. I have to like it for both sides.
Yeah.
Like some say, Buxton got
it has potential to be a steal.
Very
because you do have to keep in mind Buxton's injury history.
Exactly.
That is as much as you want to just look at the numbers on the surface and say he had like one of the best slugging percentages over the last 2 years, which he did, but like that is a large part of it is that he hasn't been able to stay healthy over the last 2 years and kind of just as much as it hurts to say it throughout most of his career.
Right, exactly. Since 2018, he has played 215 games.
Yeah.
That's an average of 54, and I know there was a 60-game season in there, but
even then, he played 39 games in 2020.
Yeah. But when he does play, since 2018, he has an 833 OPS, 121 OPS plus, and if you isolate it since...
are you saying since 2018 he has that OPS?
OPS...
but was your parameter 2018?
Yeah, but if you isolate...
Take 2018 out of there.
If you isolate
Take
that,
2018 out of there. I don't want to look at that.
So if you isolate it since 2019, 897 OPS, 137 OPS plus in 187 games, along with, literal platinum glove defense.
Yes.
Like if he was healthy, he'd be like a top 5 player in the game. It's
absolutely
crazy. It's crazy.
And what was the deal? Like 7 years, 115 mil or something like that. 110 mil.
100 flat.
Oh my God.
100 flat. So around 13 million a year. So it has very big steal potential because, as we mentioned, if he was healthy, he has top 5 player potential, but he's not. not healthy, and he hasn't been fully healthy since 2017.
Yeah.
And but the reason they signed him for 7 years is because he's going into his age 28 season. So that covers age 28 through 34. This is what should be his prime, and if he's healthy for his prime, you got to watch out. Yeah, like Byron Buxton, one of the weirdest players in the league, for sure.
Absolutely. But you know what? I'm happy for him. I'm happy that he got paid.
Yeah.
Oh, it's also his birthday today.
Nice.
Happy birthday, Byron Buxton. 28 years old. And he's still got so much left in him. Yeah, 7 years, 100 flat. Wow.
Yeah. So potential for a big steal, but you can't be upset if you're Byron Buxton.
No.
For sure. He got his $100 million, and
I do feel bad for how much he probably could have missed out on if he stayed on the field.
exactly.
Like we would be looking at a much different contract if he played out just the entire 2021 season.
Oh yeah,
Like even with the 2018, 19, and 20 injuries.
Baseball Reference War had him at 4.5 wins above replacement. If he had just played double the games, which would have only been 122 games, that's a 9-win season.
Yeah.
I mean, not saying
That's
that.
assuming he stayed on that pace. Let's say he doesn't, it's a 7-win season.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a 7-win season. I think Correa this year had 7.3.
Yeah, and he's looking for like 300 mil.
Yes.
Yeah, we could be talking at least. He could have made double that if he just stayed on the field, which is so crazy to think about.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you have that recency bias. You have the fact that he's going into a contract year, that the Twins look very bleak without him, as we saw last year.
Right. Yeah,
That's the part that hurts.
Yes, it does. It does, especially seeing what he can do.
He was second on the Twins in B-War, and he played 61 games.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I think he led all my players to watch in B-War. And he played 61 games. Yeah, it's quite unreal, for sure. So, yeah, in conclusion, good for Buxton, good for the Twins. And we will see. I mean, yeah, we hope that contract turns out well. I mean, he has potential, like we've been talking about it, potential while staying healthy to be just one of the best players in baseball.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people talk about that. All right. On to the NL West. The defending NL West champions. Disappointing.
Would you say that?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, they re-signed, we already talked about the fact that they re-signed DeSclafani, they re-signed Wood. They signed Alex Cobb, which I think is going to be one of the better value pickups of the year. It was a 2-year contract. If you look at his peripherals last year, he was awesome. They also re-signed Brandon Belt, and I don't think people realize how good Brandon Belt is offensively.
Right. Oh, yeah. I forgot that they re-signed Brandon Belt.
I think you're looking too much at the fact that they had a 107-win season.
Potentially. What do you mean?
The fact that you're disappointed by them.
Disappointed
by the Giants?
For the off season, yeah.
Okay.
Because all right. I'm looking at their team. They don't have actually I'm looking at their salaries right now. They don't have any guaranteed money past 2024, which I don't know if that's necessarily a good or bad thing, but they don't have a lot of guaranteed money being thrown out there. Their estimated total payroll without options this upcoming year is $119.5 million. The Dodgers aren't getting too much worse, and they lost out on their best pitcher, and they didn't get another ace type pitcher to complement that. The fact that they lost Kevin Gausman, the fact that they weren't out there trying to get Kevin Gausman the same way other teams were, especially when he went for only $110 million, and the Giants are not a small market team, that's disappointing to me.
Okay, so counterpoint, they have an ace pitcher. They do. And how much is he making next year? $500,000. And his name is Logan Webb.
Hey, you know what team wouldn't care about having two ace pitchers? The Los Angeles Dodgers.
That's true.
And that's why you know what? That's why the Dodgers are going to win the West next year, because they would have the initiative to have two ace pitchers. But
Who's going to be their ace next year? Bueller, and then who's going to be their second ace?
not next year. But the reason that they won whatever eight titles in a row. I mean, I do like the Giants' analytical department. I do like that they have been able to develop players well, but Kevin Gausman was a guy that they were able to develop well and change the pace of his career over 2 years, and they were not aggressive enough with him.
I feel like you have to keep in mind, you're talking about the payroll not being what it used to be. Two of their highest paid players are off the books this year with Buster Posey and with Johnny Cueto.
Right.
That is a large part of it. And obviously, not only that, but you talk about not having guaranteed money past 2024 or whatever it was. Don't forget that all of their great players last year were 30 and up.
Yeah.
Brandon Crawford, while he was healty, Evan Longoria, Brandon Belt.
I think that's even more reason to go after free agents now.
Interesting.
Because I know that they've kind of revamped their careers a little bit, but that can only last so long when you're in your mid to late 30s. So you're not going to be able to rely on guys like Longoria, guys like Longoria, Belt, Posey, Crawford, just having very good years for you. So when there's a guy who, I believe Kevin Gausman was going into his age 30 season this year, when you have someone like that who you have developed in the past couple of years and, isn't going to break the bank too much, maybe your payroll goes up into the 140s, which is not a problem for the Giants. Definitely not a problem with the luxury tax at its current state. Very, very far from it, actually. You need to be aggressive. And if they fell out on Kevin Gausman, Robbie Ray was still out there, and I don't think there was any connection between him and the Giants. You do have Logan Webb. You re-signed Desclafani and Alex Wood, but
While also getting Alex Cobb, who had I'll get into him later, but he had some very good numbers.
yeah,
I think better than everyone would think.
right. But the Giants, you're expected to win now, so you got to make the big boy move and get Kevin Gausman, and they didn't do it. And I'm a little if I were a Giants fan, I'd be very disappointed by that. I think they'll do well next year, but not as well as they should have.
Okay, so let me just get into Alex Cobb real quick, because I want you to keep in mind this is a guy whose two most recent teams that he played for were the Orioles and the Angels, which are two of the worst teams for developing pitchers and for improving.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The Giants, they revamped. They made Alex Wood have a career year or close to that. They brought back Anthony DeSclafani when he hadn't been too great for a couple years. They made Logan Webb possibly into a top 10 pitcher in baseball in a year. I think you can make that case.
Yep.
Alex Cobb with the Angels last year, 93 and a third innings pitched, 9.5 strikeouts per nine, when his career high was 8.4. And by the way, that was 2013. So it's not like it was anything recent. 3.2 walks per nine. The difference between his ERA and his FIP, 84 points on the unlucky side.
Yeah.
So he had an ERA of 3.76, a FIP of 2.92. I think that's going to balance itself out much more in San Francisco. There's a more favorable ballpark there. The Giants are going to do what they do with whatever labs that they have. I think that you're certainly not going to replace Kevin Gausman, but Alex Cobb they can make a case. They're going to forget about him with what he's going to do. While Logan Webb is also going to serve as the ace.
They should have gotten both.
Fair.
They should have gotten both.
That's
Cobb
fair. I'm not going to disagree
and
with that.
Gausman.
I think disappointing is a bit of a stretch of a word to use, but you're absolutely right in saying there was no reason not to even try with Gausman or Ray.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Especially given the market of the San Francisco Giants and how historically they've been able to get big money free agents. I don't think anything's changed in the past, 5 years. I don't think that anything's changed since they signed guys like Matt Cain and Johnny Cueto. I know the Matt Cain one didn't work. The Matt Cain and Johnny Cueto ones didn't work out great, but like Kevin Gausman, I think, has better potential than those two, especially at his age. But I think what's just staring at me is like their estimated payroll is $119 million.
Mm-hmm.
That's
half of what the Dodgers are paying.
It's like $90 million away from the luxury tax.
Yeah.
And I don't think money is a problem for the San Francisco Giants, but we'll see how it goes. There's not really any outside of like maybe Carlos Rodon. There's not really any other free agent guys out there. Maybe they trade for someone mid-season.
Mm-hmm.
They're not gonna have a bad rotation at all. That's not what I'm saying. I think it's just like I feel like that's a move they had to make, and they didn't make it. Either him or Robbie Ray.
Mm-hmm.
And it did not happen. Or even like Max Scherzer, but obviously he went to the Mets.
Yeah. And also that was just that was a bank-breaking move.
Yes, it was. That would have actually broke the bank. All right. So the Giants did get Alex Cobb. I guess like there's potential of like Alex Cobb is a better value guy
than Kevin Gausman.
Him making $9 million over like
Gausman making $22 million.
Over him making $22 million. But I don't think there's a great excuse to not get both pitchers. But anyway, on to the Dodgers, who did less than the Giants, you could argue, I think.
Dodgers?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. They re-signed Chris Taylor.
That's true. Yes.
But also the Dodgers have so many free agents. They have so many free agents.
Guys still out there like Kenley Jansen and
dude. Kenley Jansen is out there.
Kenley Jansen and Clayton Kershaw are out there.
Kenley Jansen is out there. Clayton Kershaw is out there. Corey Seager's already gone, obviously.
Like when you think of the 2010s Dodgers, like maybe the two most prominent guys who have stuck around.
Justin Turner's out there too.
Yeah,
I think right. Or was that a 2-year deal that he agreed to last year?
Yeah, it might have been 2 or 3. I'm not sure.
I'll check.
Yeah, I think he's still on the team.
Okay.
But Kershaw and Kenley Jansen are both
he
out
is still
there.
out there. He's projected to be their 3-hitter at age 37.
Scherzer and Seeger off the market currently. Getting Chris Taylor was a good move, but I think it was a move they had to make.
Mm-hmm.
You need someone like that back.
You know what's very funny? When you look up and down their projected lineup, it's still like this team is so good.
Right, and I would say their biggest move for 2022 was made in 2021 with like Trey Turner.
Yeah.
That's
one
of the best players in baseball, and
you have him for another year.
They got him mid-season, so it's like don't even have to really worry about that. And I mean, not to sour the mood, but I mean, they're going to be probably like no matter what you think about the guy, they're probably getting a certain pitcher that they had last year back. Pitching, he's probably going to be back on the major league mound, so that's another addition to think about. And then
is Dustin May going to come back like a mid-season, or is he out until 2023?
If he does come back,
I don't think it's September.
I don't think it's going to be for that long.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, they got Daniel Hudson. I don't even think that's really worth talking about that much.
I think he's much better than people realize.
Right. And what's funny is they made that 2-year deal for Tommy Kainley last.
That's right.
Last
oh my
year.
God, I forgot about. Yeah, he's coming to the bullpen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to what high school did he go to in upstate New York? Was it Shaker? Hang on, but he's an upstate New York guy.
Yeah, Daniel Hudson.
Yeah, shout out to Shaker High School.
Daniel Hudson, 3.31 ERA last year. I mean, yeah, that's a solid. 13.1 strikeouts per 9.
Yeah.
Why didn't anyone tell me that? Okay.
Daniel Hudson, yeah.
Yeah, 13.
Yeah, dude. He's better than people realize. I told you. I wanted the Red Sox to get him at the deadline.
Yeah, 13.1 strikeouts per 9. That's pretty crazy. I think I was just thinking about his 2020 season. I was like, oh, he's done. But no, not at all.
Tommy Kainley is coming off a season in which he had 27 strikeouts per 9. Yeah, 1 inning pitched. But 9 walks per 9, though, so, only a .19 FIP.
That's funny. Yeah, so the Dodgers, like, they're getting some bullpen pieces. Hypothetically, if Jansen doesn't come back, maybe Hudson could close, or Blake Trinan.
Yeah, well, Blake Trinan's definitely going to be the closer right now.
Right.
But you also have Alex Vesia, you have Brusdar Graterol, you have Phil Bickford. Like, that's still a really good team.
Yeah. I mean, the Daniel Hudson move is a move you're probably going to realize the importance of more, like, in the playoffs. Like, that's just, like, when they do have a bullpen game, it's like, oh, Daniel Hudson back out there getting another scoreless inning.
Yeah.
That's just what it seems like. So that was a solid move. But on to the Padres, who just lost Daniel Hudson.
To the Dodgers.
I don't think they really did much, which I guess, they've done plenty in the previous 2 off seasons.
I was saying, like, the Padres can't win this offseason. Like,
Yep.
if they get a bunch of really good people are going to accuse them of being, doing the same thing that they did last year. And if they don't do anything, it's like, well, look what the Dodgers did and look what the Giants did, which maybe they're not saying that exactly. They traded Adam Frazier. We already talked about that. Yeah, no, they legit did nothing of note.
Yeah, and then the big move from the NL West, Jhoulys Chacin going to the Rockies.
That's right. Oh, yeah. The Padres signed Nick Martinez to a 4-year contract. Did you see this?
No.
Nick Martinez has not pitched in the majors since 2017, and I think they got him from Japan. And let's see, I actually don't know. Okay, he was very good in Japan last year. A 1.62 ERA in 149 and 2/3 innings pitched. Still, I was very shocked to see a 4-year deal for him.
Yeah. How much did they sign him for?
I can't imagine it's that much.
Like, probably like $12 million or something.
It might not even be that much. Nick Martinez. Yeah, dude, $4 million a year.
Yeah, 4 years, $16 million.
Okay, wait, no. So they're paying him $7 million next year and then $4.3 million the next 3 years. And then, and he can opt out and he's a free agent. Still, so 4 years, $20 million. I mean, it could be very good with value, but I was just not ready to see a 4-year deal for him.
Yeah, no. He went to Fordham University, which is the shirt I'm currently wearing.
Wow.
My sister graduated from there, so shout out to Fordham. Go Rams. But yeah, 18th rounder also. So yeah, 4 years, $20 million.
Yeah, I was just not ready to see that. Like, when you look at his numbers in Japan, if you picture it as like a Japanese import coming in, like, for example, I used not Japanese, but like Ha-Sung Kim last year.
Yeah.
It's like they gave him a similar type of deal, but it's just, it's someone who has pitched in the majors before, so
right.
it feels a little different.
Yeah.
But yeah, like a 1.62 ERA in 149 and 2/3 innings pitched last year, 8.8 strikeouts per 9, 2.3 walks per 9, 0.4 home runs, also 6.9 hits per 9.
Yeah, that's it's interesting. I mean, I don't know what role they would put him in. Like, I feel like he'll be asked to do.
He'll probably be a starter.
Yeah.
Like, what happened to, don't forget what happened to their rotation last year. Like, everyone just fell apart.
Right. Yeah, I mean, currently at the moment they've got
Musgrove, Darvish, Snell, Clevenger coming back, and then he's their 5 starter according to Fangraphs.
Yeah, it could still be Paddock if they still want to give him chances.
Yeah, Paddock had a very large difference between his ERA and FIP last year.
Like in terms of unlucky.
Unlucky.
Interesting. Very interesting there. So yeah, that's pretty funny. Yeah, 4 years, $20 million. You said.
Mm-hmm.
from the right-handed pitching Nick Martinez. I could see him like he could be a starter, he could be a reliever.
Mm-hmm.
Anything could work for $5 million a year. Yeah, that'll be interesting. I mean, maybe just the under the radar move of the offseason. You never know.
It could be. Like people probably won't even know that they signed him.
Right, exactly.
Like people will probably be watching like a random Padres game like on a late night. Like people on the East Coast will be like, "Wait a minute, they signed Nick Martinez? Like when was the last time that guy pitched?"
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember seeing that and being like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't even see it.
Yeah. I like I've said a million times, I just couldn't believe a 4-year deal.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Like if they re-signed to like a 1 or 2 year deal, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, like okay."
Especially
Forgot
like
he was there.
this contract covers his age 31 through 34 seasons.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not like they signed a 28-year-old.
Anyway, that was shocking. They also signed Luis Garcia.
Yes, not Astros Luis Garcia, not Nationals Luis Garcia, but
Cardinals.
former Cardinal.
I think
Luis
he used to be a
Garcia.
Padre as well, but who knows? There's so many Luis Garcias. The Rockies did that thing where they're the Rockies.
Yeah, and the Diamondbacks.
Signed Mark Melanson.
The Diamondbacks are preparing for their number 1 overall pick. I wonder if they'll trade him away again this time.
That would make sense.
Like they did with Dansby Swanson.
Oh, that's right.
They got Shelby Miller though.
I saw like Trey Young.
Or no,
From the
they traded Shelby Miller.
Yeah, they traded for Shelby Miller and got Dansby. They traded Dansby Swanson and Eder and Ciarte.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember like Trey Young in the NBA got engaged and his fiance's name is Shelby Miller. And everyone was like, "Wow, he rebounded well after being traded for those two guys."
Yeah, Diamondbacks, they won 52 games last year, so what can you expect them to do in the offseason?
Yeah, and now they signed a closer. Like
They signed a closer, yeah.
yeah,
Because that's what
the problem is. You need to be winning to use your closer.
That's correct. That is correct. And then onto the American League West, the Astros didn't. They signed Hector Neris,
Yeah.
who finally out of
Philly. Good for him.
Yeah, exactly.
Poor guy.
Not a bad career. I'm just looking now. 3.42 career ERA. That's a 1.24 career ERA plus.
Yeah.
He peaked in 2014, where he had a 0 ERA.
And I'm sure there was in many innings.
In a 1.13 FIP.
Yeah.
No walks ever in that year.
How many innings we talking? Oh yeah. Yeah.
1 inning pitch.
It was a great inning.
Yeah, it was. Truly.
The Phillies saw him. Were like, we're keeping this guy for 8 years.
Yeah, that's how it worked. It's like we cannot let this guy go. Yeah, I mean,
Guys, he's very good. Like he just gets associated with the Phillies bullpen.
right. He's always just like that one guy who's like not the worst in that bullpen.
Also, it is very funny seeing every year there's a huge discrepancy between his ERA and his FIP. But sometimes it's like he gets really lucky and sometimes he gets really unlucky.
Right. Yeah, that's just the life. That's just the life of a reliever. In his last 3 seasons, 3.46 ERA. I mean, he'll just be another guy. Dusty Baker just trots out in like the 6th inning in the playoffs.
Yeah. His career, I'm not going to count 2014 here, but his hits per 9 every year is very funny. 8.5, 6.6, 8.2, 8.7, 6.0, 10.0, 6.7. It's like this guy's either going to be super lucky or super unlucky.
Yeah, like his...
It can never be at a reasonable place.
If you just put that like on a graph, that'd be a hilarious graph to look at. It would be like the stock market.
Yeah. I'm going to do that after the show.
Yeah.
That's too funny.
We need that for sure. Notable with Hector Neris is his strikeout numbers.
Yes.
Career 11.5 strikeouts per 9, along with, and if if you just go since 2018, his strikeouts per 9 is 12.4.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder since 2018, like how many guys have?
His ERA and FIP since 2018 are the exact same though.
Nice.
Literally 3.83.
Yeah, nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and
It perfectly balances out the luck and the misfortune.
And actually, last year his expected ERA was 2.99.
Wow.
So, very interesting. 50% ground ball rate last year.
It's funny because his FIP was way bigger than his ERA, way larger.
Yeah, it's
6.7 hits per 9.
Yeah, that's interesting. Very interesting for sure. I'm trying to see if like any specific pitches pop off for him. His splitter looked good in 2019, but maybe I'm just digging too deep here. He uses his splitter over 40% of the time. Something to look at. His whiff rate on it last year was 45.3%. Nice. So yeah, that's a solid move on the Astros end. There's not much they were going to be doing. They've got a young rotation. They don't really have to worry about adding to that. And they already got Verlander earlier in the offseason, so they kind of made their moves there. In terms of the lineup, you're going to lose Correa, but they've got some guys internally that can kind of fill holes. So you weren't really expecting much out of the Astros in the offseason, but they did end up getting a nice right-handed reliever who potentially, if they need him to, could close out some games.
I was not ready to spend that much time on Hector Neris.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel because the last team we talked about doing something really was I don't know, maybe the Giants.
Well, we got a team in this division that we will talk about.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
First, we'll get into the Mariners.
I think we should save them for last.
Save the for last?
No, the team in this division that we need to talk about.
Well, I mean, they were going to be last anyway because
true.
of where they were in the standings.
True.
The Mariners. Mariners got Robbie Ray.
They did. Good deal.
Great deal. I mean, yeah. I mean, this is the time you do something like this.
It absolutely is.
I'm proud of them. I'm proud of them for doing this.
I am too. I'm proud of Jerry DiPoto. I feel like this has got to be the most he's spent since Cruz, maybe.
Yeah.
Trying to think about it. When was the last time they signed a big free agent?
I mean, this definitely was more money than they gave to Cruz. This is definitely the highest.
I mean, it definitely not Cano, but that was pre DiPoto.
Yeah, definitely biggest contract since probably Cano.
Yeah.
If I'm thinking about it correctly, yeah. So they got Robbie Ray. I mean, what more can you say about the guy other than
I can tell you a lot of things about the guy.
Other than Cy Young award winner.
So let me just
ERA title winner last year.
Let me just break this down completely. You know what Robbie Ray improved upon last year? He cut the walks completely. He was he was a perpetual walk machine from 2015 to 2020, but he was also the active leader in strikeouts per 9. This guy strikes out 11.2 batters per 9 in his career. Obviously, that's the all-time leader. But his biggest issue in the 2021 season, in which he won the Cy Young Award, was he gave up a lot of home runs. And a lot of that could have been due to the ballparks he was pitching in, because he never really had a home park. But, I've talked quite a bit about how the supplemental ballparks the Blue Jays used, how they were offensive powerhouses, especially for the Blue Jays because they are just a very good offensive team, but also opponents as well. And Seattle, very much a pitcher's park, much more of a pitcher's park than Toronto was. Also, Mariners have a solid defense. Blue Jays did too. Not much of a storyline to be had there. But that's going to be the biggest thing for Robbie Ray, is you're going to a place where the ball's not going to be flying all over the place the same way it was in Toronto. And that's going to eliminate the biggest issue he had last year, while also, he's still going to be striking out a lot of guys. The walks are probably gonna stay where they were. I would hope they do.
Right.
This is a very good signing for Seattle, and I'm
Yeah.
also just so happy for Robbie Ray.
Yeah, little fun fact I just found. The Blue Jays had the 9th highest home run to fly ball ratio, meaning like unluckiest on like home run to fly ball
Yeah.
ratio. Seattle was 25th.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
I want to look at venue real quick.
Yeah, if I don't exactly know how to like get
I can
there.
get there. I can do that.
But yeah, like that's just a little bit of a hint of like what could possibly change with Robbie Ray, and like there's potential of him getting even better now that he's out of those weird ballparks.
Yeah.
Because we know, like, especially if he keeps his walks down, which I mean,
Based on last year, he should.
he should. He was able to keep them down over the course of over 190 innings.
I mean, one of his teammates is going to be one of the best like walk prevent pitchers in baseball.
Yeah, Marco Gonzalez.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like, and yeah, it just this adds to the team very well. I mean, the Mariners, they have an okay staff with they had an okay staff with Marco Gonzalez,
Chris Flexen.
Chris Flexen, but they needed like a nice leader, ace. They got him, and it's a team that's growing, and it's a great thing.
It's another young team.
It's a great thing that they have him for 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
because he's going to be especially important in 2023 and beyond, and like they're going to compete this year,
Mm-hmm.
but they could be a potential problem in the next 2-3 years. So he's going to play a big role for that, and following the Randy Johnson career arc a little bit, going to Seattle.
Yep.
Like, I think of him as that big game, potential big game pitcher. Like, this is exciting for the Mariners for sure. Like, it's looking more and more like they can break that drought very soon.
I mean, you have Kelenic, who's probably going to take a step forward. You have to expect him to take a step forward. You have J-Rod coming up next year.
Yep.
You have a lot of young pitchers possibly coming up soon. Emerson Hancock. You have George Kirby. Logan Gilbert looked great last year, especially for just his rookie season.
Yeah, and even like the guys who, the guys who aren't like gonna be your stars, I like as like a supporting cast. Like J.P. Crawford, I think is a very good contributor to that team. And then Ty France took a step forward last year.
Huge step forward.
I think they still have Mitch Haniger. I think
They do.
Excuse me. They still have Mitch Haniger. I like this team. I like this team next year, especially with Robbie Ray. And yeah, it's gonna be nice. Gonna be nice to see. And I wonder how that bullpen is gonna hold up. Should be decent. I like how they how Baseball Reference still has their fun differential up.
Yeah, they haven't gotten rid of that.
I love this deal. Love this deal for the Mariners.
I just want to. Savant's not loading for me, which is really annoying.
Yikes.
Yeah. Robbie Ray in 2021.
What are we looking for?
His home run to fly ball ratio is actually worse on the road, which is interesting.
Yeah, that is weird.
But also he probably, I don't know, maybe he gave up a lot, like more fly balls at home in general, where it was just gonna balance out,
Right.
like those
Potentially.
atmospheres.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Savant's not loading. I want to check like venue home run to fly ball ratios.
Yeah, that would be interesting for sure. But yeah, I mean, that's mostly what the Mariners did. I don't think they did too much else.
Yeah, that was mostly what they did, but it's gonna be exciting to watch.
Yeah,
I hope
very
so.
very much so. I was not really considering the Mariners as a potentially trying to get an ace. they got one, and I can't help but really appreciate this from a Mariners perspective. As for the Oakland A's, okay, we talked about them before the show. Just kind of strolling along, going back into irrelevancy. Not really doing a whole lot.
Yeah.
And then the Angels, they signed.
That's the team where you talk about them being disappointing.
Right.
All the pitchers out there, and they end up with Michael Lorenzen.
Right. One good thing they did was they re-signed Raisel Iglesias.
That is the good thing they did. Yes, they needed to do that, and that was what, like a 3 or 4 year deal.
Yeah, 4-year deal, I think.
Yeah, they also signed Aaron Loop. I think we talked about that already.
Yep. I mean, but like, good job getting Raisel Iglesias, but I feel like you shouldn't be signing great closer deals unless you're a competitive team, and they haven't really shown to be.
I mean, they're obviously
yet.
trying to be.
They're trying to be
It's not
competitive.
like, I mean, like Raisel Iglesias is one of the best relievers in the league. It's not like you're not allowed to sign him because you haven't been good yet. Like, they're obviously trying to be good.
Yeah, but like they, as you mentioned,
It would
they should
be- it would
probably
be-
be prioritizing their starters.
Oh, absolutely.
To get to him.
You're absolutely right. Because the rotation right now, it's Ohtani, it's Patrick Sandoval, it's Michael Lorenzen, and who else do you really feel confident in?
I mean, maybe Syndergaard.
Oh yeah, and Syndergaard.
But like you don't really feel that confident in many people, and I mean, the Iglesias deal is good, but yeah, I don't know. Like they're still I still view them as a similar team. I mean, I guess you're technically kind of adding Mike Trout back into your
Yeah, and Anthony Rendon.
But yeah, like they were a 77-win team, so the addition of Mike Trout, if you just go based off of like wins above replacement, Mike Trout, adding him like from last year adds like maybe 5 or 6 wins, so that's what 83, 84, and then Anthony Rendon probably adds another maybe 4, so you're at 87 with that. It's like just get a very good starter, and you're a very competitive team.
I think they have a couple young starters that are very intriguing. I mentioned Patrick Sandoval earlier. Jose Suarez is also a guy that people should be looking for. I think those are some, like Patrick Sandoval is probably their second best starter.
Right. Yeah.
Like I would almost put him. I would even put him above Syndergaard at this point. Suarez, I think, is going to be a very good 5 starter who could grow into more.
Right.
Wow, I've encountered an error on the Savant page. Oh well.
Oh boy.
But I mean, you're looking at a rotation with Ohtani, with, who knows how many innings he's going to be able to pitch. Obviously, 130 last year.
Yep.
And then you have Sandoval, you have Syndergaard, you have Lorenzen, and you have Suarez. But that leaves, that's good. But there isn't much depth after that.
Yeah, and this is a team like if we want to talk payroll also, I should pull that up. I mean, Pujols just came off the books. Upton will be off the books next year. And I think like the Angels payroll is crazy because I think like of the guaranteed money, like 80% are going to 3 players.
Yeah, and it's all going like way beyond now.
Right. Yeah, it's absolutely insane. Go to their should go to their franchise pages, other salaries and contracts. But yeah, the Angels, like their financial commitments are interesting always. Currently their estimated payroll currently is 169.9 million. The value of their guaranteed contracts for this year is 156.7 million, and 37.1 is going to Mike Trout, 36.6 is going to Anthony Rendon, 28 is going to Justin Upton.
Yeah.
So that'll be off the books next year. 21 million going to Syndergaard this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I guess Still not going for the big guys yet. But someday.
Yeah, I mean, you also hope that guys like Joe Adele, Brandon Marsh can take steps up next year.
Yeah, maybe one day.
Maybe
One day they will be like the Texas Rangers and sign
everybody.
and sign like 2 players for $500 million combined.
One of them going into his age 31 season.
Yep.
Or 30, maybe it was 30.
30.
31. Nope, it was very much 31.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it age 31 or is he coming off his age 30?
No, he's coming off his age 30.
Age 30 season.
Yes.
So it starts off for the Rangers by signing Marcus Simeon for 7 years, $175 million. Has been, according to like wins above replacement, like a top 3 player since 2019. But yeah, 7 years, quite a bit.
Yeah.
What are our thoughts on the Marcus Simeon signing?
I mean, it definitely makes them a better team right now, but for how long? Because who knows? I mean, like, they're definitely trying to be competitive next year. When you give a team that won 60 games last year that much talent, they can only get so much better, especially in a division where other teams are getting better, such as the Angels, the Mariners, possibly the Astros. I mean, the Astros aren't going to be getting better, but they're still going to be very good.
Right.
The thing that concerns me here is that, first of all, you're signing a 31-year-old to a 7-year deal. That's a red flag in itself.
Yeah.
The thing that worries me is that, and maybe this shouldn't worry me, maybe it should go the opposite way, but Simeon has missed a total of 3 games over the last 3 full seasons, so not counting 2020. He played 159 games in 2018, 162 in 2019, 162 in 2021. Like, maybe this, this definitely tells you that he's very durable and he's reliable to be in games. But, like, we've seen in so many players that can only go on for so long.
Prince Fielder.
Yeah. Prince Fielder.
Yeah. I
mean,
mean,
same franchise.
Right. However, I mean, that is an interesting point. There are reasons to believe Marcus Simeon, won't have the same fate as Prince Fielder. I know you don't really mean that, like.
I hope, he doesn't suffer the same fate. That would suck.
And I think there's reason. I mean, just looking at the 2 guys, seeing why one might last, one might not. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to sign a 31-year-old to a 7-year deal when you're not going to be competing in the next couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
This is a deal that a competitive team would make, where it's like, we'll sacrifice the last few years of maybe lack of production. This is a deal where I feel like the 2009 Yankees would be all over this deal. We're like, we're going to try to win a few championships in the first few years of his contract, but
yeah,
we'll be when it comes time for like 2015, 2016, it's like, man, we're still paying this guy. But like when the Rangers should be competitive is maybe when Simeon is going to be declining, which is what makes this so confusing. But it's not like they're getting a bad player. They're getting a good player, maybe not for the right, maybe not at the right time. It should be interesting. Also, like, he's coming from a situation where he had good offensive ballparks. Texas isn't a crazy great offensive ballpark.
I wasn't going to go there because his home road splits were basically identical last year.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I did forget about that. But yeah. So yeah, this deal should be interesting. I should take a look at like where he ranks in F4 since 2019. It's like top 3.
Probably.
Even with a bad 2020.
It's only 60 games.
Yeah. It basically treated like a 2-month slump, which pretty much is what it was. Since 2019. Oh no, he leads in F4 since 2019.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what? If you're gonna sign a guy to a 7-year deal at age 31, definitely not a bad thing if they lead the league in wins above replacement for the last 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah. True. Very true. So yeah, pretty interesting. I mean, Marcus Simeon just confuses the hell out of me so much.
Literally.
Because like some websites like his defensive metrics, some don't. Sometimes he's an MVP finalist, sometimes he's a below average hitter. It's just he's confusing, and I guess it'll stay the same during his contract.
Yeah.
Maybe his best years will be like age 34 through 37.
It could be.
Could be. I don't
Yeah.
know.
But then you get to the other big signing.
This one you gotta love.
Yeah. Corey Seeger. It's very funny because we just talked about Marcus Simeon and like how he's so durable and he always stays on the field. Corey Seager is not exactly the same way.
Yeah, no. To give him an excuse for 2021, his last injury was because of getting hit
Yeah.
by a pitch on his finger.
And he played all but 8 games in 2020.
Yeah, 2019, 134 games, and then he had like Tommy John surgery.
Yeah.
But still, yeah, hasn't been on the field a crazy amount. But I'm honestly not too worried about it. But 10-year, $325 million deal covers his age 28 through 37 seasons. Mm-hmm. He's gonna be playing with the Rangers. It's something where we don't know when the Rangers are going to be competitive. If you had to put like an ETA on it, it might be like 2025. And in 2025, Corey Seager is still going to be in his early 30s. He's not even like I feel like Corey Seager is probably going to age well because he's like a good offensive like power hitter.
Yeah.
I like this.
He's a guy you could see like, he might be a DH by the end of his career,
mm-hmm.
but he could probably still hit.
Or like go to second base.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never know. I feel like some deals are like just so like cookie cutter. It's like, oh, this is a good deal.
Yeah.
That's all I can really say about it.
Yeah, I mean, the Rangers have the best middle infield in baseball now.
They do.
They do.
They do.
They do. They went from, what was their middle infield last year? Like Nick Solak and
I think
Isaiah Kiner-Falefa kind of played all over.
Yeah. And now you got 500.
According to Baseball Reference, it was Nick Solak and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa.
Now you got $500 million worth of infielders in the middle.
Just in the middle.
Just in the middle.
Yeah.
It should be interesting to see like where the Rangers are in a few years and like if it ended up being worth it to get these guys.
Yeah. Not to mention they also got John Gray. They got Cole Calhoun.
Yeah, they got John Gray. Like
Yeah.
John Gray is actually another like pretty big deal.
Yeah, that was one I'm excited about.
4 years, 56?
Mm-hmm. Yes, 4 years, 56 mil. He actually had better numbers at Coors last year, but Mike Petriello pointed out his like third time through the order was like much worse at Coors and then very good on the road.
Interesting.
So like that's a guy who can be an innings eater while also being an effective pitcher.
Yeah, and I mean the Rangers can use all the pitching they can get, and
they have a ballpark that favors pitching.
Yes, it does. They do, but also one thing I have to think about is like a 4-year deal. Are the Rangers going to be competitive in the next 4 years? But it's not even a thing where like it breaks the bank that much.
Yeah.
Where it's like if they do arrive early, John Gray is definitely a nice piece to have.
Yeah.
In that rotation.
The thing that scares me about the Rangers is that like if they aren't competitive in the next few years, like they're going to like owners are going to use them as a benchmark of like, well, we're not spending money because look what the Rangers did. They spent all this money and they weren't good.
Yeah.
When the reality is they spent all this money coming out of a 100-loss season. And I'm still, like I applaud the Rangers for going for it at a time when a lot of teams wouldn't.
Especially with that loyal fan base. First in attendance last year. Sorry. Had to slip that in.
Yeah, dude, I was just looking at that too.
Yeah, just a super loyal fan base.
Yeah, they show up more than anyone else for a team that lost 100 games. That's got to be a first, right?
Has to be, absolutely. Yeah, pretty unreal. Interesting time to be spending money. I have to like the Corey Seeger deal more than Marcus Simeon, just based on age. Maybe not even on like player skill. And
do you think they can be competitive next year? Keep in mind their pitching staff is still going to be John Gray, Mike Foltynewicz.
Like, I want to look at this roster again, because even like the rest of the lineup,
AJ Alexi, Glenn Otto.
Because they got these two great bats, and then like they traded Joey Gallo.
Let me look at they traded Joey Gallo. Let me look at so
they got Nate Lowe.
According to Fangraphs, their projected rotation on opening day is John Gray, Dane Dunning, Taylor Hearn, AJ Alexi, Spencer Howard. None of which are homegrown. None of them.
Nate Lowe had, so if looking at the lineup, players that had OPS pluses above 100. Or actually, if you just take a look at the OPS pluses down the lineup according to Baseball Reference, how they have the 2020 lineup set up. Catcher, Jose Trevino, 67 OPS plus. Nate Lowe at first base, 113. Nick Solak, 87. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa,
That
85.
5 through 9 doesn't look good at all.
Brock Holt, 61. Willie Calhoun, 90. Adolis Garcia, 101. Joey Gallo is not on the team anymore. Yohel Pozo, 90. Well, I mean, I don't think he was actually in the lineup. I don't know why they have him in there. He's only played 21 games. But it's like the team had an 84 OPS plus last year. They added two great bats, but they're still probably going to be
that might get them to 92.
Yeah, it's still going to be a pretty below average offense.
5 through 9 is going to be yeesh.
Yeah, no, they're not going to be competitive next year,
which is unfortunate.
It's not even like an I don't think. It's just like
it's just a no, especially with that division too. It's like if they were in the AL Central, it's like they could finish second and maybe compete for that wild card spot.
Yeah,
like I can't see them being better than 3 of the 4 other teams in that division.
Yeah, no,
I can't.
It's too much. We'll see about the Rangers, but
do they have 2022 playoff projections yet?
I don't know.
It's probably got to come later, right?
I don't know.
Just wait till Pacoda does their projections and they have them winning like 85 games.
Yeah.
Finishing third.
Right.
The Astros, they have like the Astros. Oh my goodness, we have breaking news. Oh my goodness.
The MLB is out of lockout.
No. This is the first time we have breaking news on the show in a while. Steve Cohen has tweeted, Mets have a new manager. You want to take a guess?
Curtis Granderson?
No.
Carlos Beltran. He's coming back.
Dude, it's the guy all the media wanted to come manage the Mets. It's the dude that every media member was hyping up.
Oh, wow. I'm too out of the loop.
I'll give you a hint. We were talking about Ubaldo Jimenez earlier in the show.
Wait. What? Ubaldo Jimenez. Wait. Buck Showalter?
Yeah.
No way.
Dude, I swear to God, the Mets just hired Buck Showalter.
They hired Buck Showalter.
Yeah.
They hired Buck Showalter. What? Max Scherzer wanted Buck Showalter.
Max Scherzer's going to pitch 300 innings next year.
Yeah.
Jacob deGrom's arm's going to be blown out in May again.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's unbelievable. I'm like concerned. There's so many emotions going through me right now. Wow. I mean, I guess.
You know what's going to happen now? Like, the Mets are going to be good, And the media's going to be like, the Mets, they did it. They hired Buck Showalter. They got away from the analytics. It's like as if they didn't sign Max Scherzer, Mark Canha, Starling Marte, while also having a very talented team beforehand.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Oh
everyone just stays healthy and has a career year, and it's like, oh, it was Buck Showalter.
It was, you know what? That's why the analytics are blah, blah, blah. 3-year deal.
Uh-oh. We got someone walking on the grass.
Oh, my God.
This must not be a student.
My God.
They really hired Buck Showalter.
I knew they were going to do it, too. They could have hired Joe Espada. They could have hired... Oh, my God.
Espada was the...
Yeah, dude. Bob Nightingale. Buck Showalter was the perfect choice all along, and now he'll start assembling his Mets coaching staff.
Oh, boy. He's getting
I
fired.
Cannot wait.
He's getting fired in June.
Dude, I cannot wait to go back to that tweet.
Yeah. This is rough. He's not going to last now. Definitely not. Oh, boy.
I mean, I don't think it's as detrimental as the Tony La Russa hire to the White Sox.
Right.
But you know what's going to be funny? Edwin Diaz is going to get screwed so hard. I guarantee it.
Yeah. Right.
Like, he's a guy that, like, he got big-time X-FIP'd in BABIP. He got X-FIP'd in 2019, 2.3 home runs per 9, 15.4 strikeouts per 9. I guarantee you by,
it's going to be the 2022 NL wildcard game. It's a tie game, and instead
Miguel Castro comes out of the bullpen.
Yeah. They've got Joey Lucchesi out there.
Yup. Oh my God.
It's like Edwin Diaz is gonna win reliever of the year, and he's still in the bullpen.
Tyler McGill is gonna have like a 7 ERA in the 6th inning, and he's just gonna keep pushing him out there.
Yes, Tyler McGill would have been a better one. Yeah, like that's exactly the guy.
Oh my God, dude.
So yeah. I mean, yeah, it will be funny when the Mets win 95 games next year. Buck Showalter wins Manager of the Year. Gonna be fun. Gonna be great. Yeah. His last time managing was what?
2017. It was 2018.
Oh yeah, it was the 54 win
Orioles.
Or no, 47 win.
Yeah, it was the 47 win Orioles.
It was the 47 win Orioles, who were not expected to be that bad either. Might I add?
Yeah.
Like heading into 2018, coming off.
They were like, maybe they'll hover 500.
Yeah. It's like, no, 47 wins. How about that?
Yeah. Which, to be fair, like, I don't think it's entirely on Buck Showalter that they were that bad.
No.
Like, clearly they haven't improved under Brandon Hyde.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, Brandon Hyde was not the guy that was going to bring them back. Yeah. Yeah, the Mets hired Buck Showalter. I'm still getting used to that fact. It is just the move you make. Like, it's like, well, everything else failed, so
Yeah.
why not get Buck Showalter? Like every person we've hired is like just getting in weird stuff or just incompetent. So we'll just get Buck Showalter. Very interesting. I mean, we'll see how it works out. So those are all the teams to talk about. This is going about as long as planned. We're an hour and a half in, and we still have some Hall of Fame stuff to talk about.
And we got some lockout stuff.
And some lockout stuff.
I cannot believe it.
What's the lockout stuff other than like, oh, we're locked out?
I mean, Rob Manfred put out that statement.
Oh yeah.
That sucked.
That was a nice
That sucked.
kick in the 5-hole for the players.
Yeah, dude. I don't know about you. I stopped reading after the 3rd paragraph.
I kept going just to
I couldn't do it, dude.
just to boil my blood a little more.
I already needed to like punch a hole in my wall. Not really, but
And I also read it in his like Kermit voice that he
Yeah.
has. Like we had some very good We had some very good requests, player-friendly requests. And
I'm just going to go through the first 3 paragraphs and talk about every problem in it.
Every fallacy.
Yeah, because I counted 3 in the first 3 paragraphs.
Yeah.
Where is this piece of garbage?
Where is this piece?
It's
probably on the
so
top
bad.
of the MLB website.
I can't find it. They got Fernando Mania.
Yeah. Remember
Still
that guy
resonates decades later.
who won the Cy Young?
40 years ago.
40 years ago?
It's the 40-year anniversary. Rob Manfred statement. Yep, a letter to baseball fans, MLB.com. Okay, 2-hour fans that we don't care about.
We're sorry that the players suck so hard.
I first want to thank you for your continued support of the great game of baseball. This past season, we were reminded of how the national pastime can bring us together and restore our hope despite the difficult challenges of a global pandemic. As we begin to emerge in one of the darkest periods of our history, our ballparks were filled with fans, the games were filled with excitement, and millions of families felt the joy of watching baseball together. Okay. You know what? That's a good paragraph.
I don't disagree with anything so far.
Everything you said was correct.
Yeah.
That's why I am so disappointed about the situation in which our game finds itself today. Despite the league's best efforts to make a deal with the Players Association, we were unable to extend our 26-year-long history of labor peace and come to an agreement with MLBPA before the current CBA expired. Therefore, we have been forced to commence a lockout of Major League players effective 12:01 ET on December 2nd.
To be fair, it was a long 7 minutes.
It was, yes. Okay, so that's where I wanted to start, was despite the league's best efforts, every single report that was covering the meetings between the Players Association and the league offices reported that the owners walked out of negotiation meetings after 7 minutes and canceled all negotiations for the rest of the day. And this was on December 1st. So the lockout became official, essentially, as soon as those came out. So, already, clearly the league's best efforts weren't a thing.
Yeah. 7 minutes.
7 minutes.
That's all that really needs to be said.
Just think about that. How much less can be done in 7 minutes?
Not a whole lot.
We might have spent more time talking about Hector Neris on this show.
I think, yeah.
Than the league did trying to negotiate a deal before they walked out.
That's so funny. All right, do we want to go to the next paragraph?
I'll go to the next paragraph. I want to explain to you how we got here and why we have to take this action today. Simply put, we believe that an off-season lockout is the best mechanism to protect the 2022 season. We hope that a lockout will jumpstart the negotiations to get us to an agreement that will allow the season to start on time. This defensive lockout was necessary because the Players Association's vision for Major League Baseball would threaten the ability for most teams to be competitive. It's simply not a viable option. From the beginning, the MLBPA has been unwilling to move from their starting position, compromise, or collaborate on solutions. Where do we want to start here?
What was the thing you said about to protect the 2022 season?
Simply put, we believe that an off-season lockout is the best mechanism to protect the 2022 season.
Yeah, if we stall long enough, they will eventually come back to us.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to say.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what the other options were. The owners, the thing is the owners voted unanimously to lock out. The players had no say in it whatsoever. Which obviously, it is very different from if you're comparing this to 1994, that was the players' strike where the owners had no say in that.
Right.
But at this time we have social media and everyone can see through what the league is trying to say here.
Yeah, I mean there's certain things you can tell certain meanings mean different meanings. Like when he says they're trying what was the thing about competitive?
That's what I wanted to get into. Is the Players Association's vision for Major League Baseball would threaten the ability of most teams to be competitive.
They're trying to get the teams to spend too much money, which would make the league unfair.
We can't do that.
We can't spend more money and make this league so unfair.
No, Like, the Pirates want Bob Nutting to spend money.
Yeah.
That is just not realistic.
That is just unfair.
And you know what? They want the freedom for more teams to spend money. You know what that means? That means the Dodgers spend more money. And the Dodgers, they already spend so much money. Like, that can't happen.
Yeah, I mean, they had a payroll of $280 million. I mean that ownership group with Magic Johnson and everyone else. I mean, they must have been hurting so bad. I mean, like we can't be having that. And they won 106 games, and I mean that's very unfair. I mean, why can't every team just win 81 games?
Like, the first thing I think about is, like, half the league is already not competitive. How threatening can this have really been?
Yeah.
Like, under the current system, which, you know, the owners obviously had much more of a say in going into the 2016 negotiations. Like, genuinely how threatening could it have been if we're already looking at a situation where half the teams don't compete? Like, look at the Rockies, look at the Pirates, look at Cleveland. Like, look at the way that they treat their tenured players, and tell me that this is a system where teams are competitive.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. It's a pure mechanism to get teams to spend less money. Is what it is.
Like, I think just in general, this is kind of going away from the statement, but just like, I think a lot of people don't understand just how broken everything is. Like, people see this as like, oh, the players want more money, which is like, that's part of it.
Right.
But it's like, look at the free agent system, and we're going to get into that in a second because that's the next paragraph. Actually, you know what? I'll just read it now. Did you have anything else you wanted to say about that?
No, I think I got it out.
Yeah, it's just like, how threatening can this actually be? And now, of course, it's from the beginning, the MLBPA has been unwilling to move from their starting positions, compromise, or collaborate on solutions. Has the league been willing to do that? Probably not. I think it's a thing where both sides don't want to move from their starting positions.
Yeah.
I really think that's what it is. Anyway,
It's like Joe Kelly versus Scott Van Slyke on that.
Yeah.
on that national anthem 2013.
Yeah. It's like
Game
none of
6
them were gonna
NLCS.
move.
Yeah. No.
Anyway, going back into it. When we began negotiations over a new agreement, the Players Association already had a contract that they wouldn't trade for any other in sports. Baseball players have no salary cap and are subjected to a maximum length of or dollar amount on contracts. In fact, only MLB has guaranteed contracts to run 10 or more years and in an excess of $300 million. We have not proposed anything that would change these fundamentals. While we have heard repeatedly that the free agency system is broken, in the month of November, $1.7 billion was committed to free agents, smashing the previous record by nearly 4 times. By the end of the offseason, clubs have committed more money to players and teams than in any offseason in MLB history. Don't you think for a second that teams knew what was coming and wanted to build their rosters beforehand, and B, that just maybe teams were signing these deals right before the lockout so that MLB could use this as a negotiation tool and Rob Manfred could use in this statement to defend the free agency system?
Right. Yeah.
Pretty obvious. Secondly, let's talk about the free agent system being broken, because the only like argument that Manfred is making that free agency isn't broken is that players get a lot of money.
Right.
Okay. Maybe 1% of players, probably less, like 0.5% of players that are on active rosters get $100 million contracts.
Right. Exactly.
And that's not even getting into the organizational depth in the minor leagues.
Oh yeah.
Like, think about this for a second. If you're a baseball player, you get drafted, and let's say you're like a 6th round pick who gets, like, you know, that you get a decent signing bonus, but nothing is promised. You go through the minor leagues. Let's say you get drafted in 2016 and you make it to the majors in 2021. That's 5 years of being a minor league player where you are paid little to none. You're not provided your own housing, you're not providing any food, and you're just treated basically like you're in poverty.
Yeah.
That is the reality of the situation. You have to work second, third jobs while being a minor league baseball player, which is already such a commitment, while you're already, you're trying to get a promotion, which requires you to put so much of your time and effort into that. So let's say you're in college, you get drafted, you're 23 years old. By the time you make it to the majors, you're 28, and then you have 6 years before you can hit free agency. By that time, you're 34.
Right.
And that's a reality for so many. Like for every Max Scherzer who gets a massive deal twice in his career, there are so many other people who go through something like that.
Right. The most common story is the story you just told. Is the absolute struggle of being in the minor leagues. I was looking up on the computer like how many players are in a full organization. Like how many players does Red Sox have? Like maybe 130, 150 maybe. So it's like if your average organization has like 125 players in it, which is probably on the low end. You multiply that by 30. That's 3,700 players. How many players in Major League Baseball are how many?
Let's even say 10 mil a year.
Out of those 3,700 currently at this moment, how many are going to get a $100 million contract in their lives? Maybe
like 20.
Maybe 20, 30 maybe.
And even going like 10 mil a year, it's like, I don't know, like
maybe like 75.
Like 75, yeah.
Yeah, and that's so if you get 75 out of 3750, which is that's 2%.
Mm-hmm. Not to mention, like,
of the league.
Let's say you're one of those minor leaguers where you get up at age 28. Depending on your service time, you get, the minimum is $500,000 a year. Sometimes you really don't even get that because you're not on a roster long enough.
Right.
Like, think about all the players that are like sent up and down through the minors and through the system. Like, those people, breaking news, they're not making $500K a year.
Right.
Like, that's people that are on the 26-man, on the 40-man roster, or on the 26-man roster that are there for the year, which is a very little part of them. And, oh, by the way, you have to wait 3 years of full service time before you can go to arbitration, where your team will actively try to prevent you from making as much money as you want.
Right.
They'll try to contain the amount of money that you try to get.
Yes.
And then if you make it through that, then you get to free agency. Like, I would love to know what percent of players actually reach arbitration and what percent actually reach free agency.
Yeah, that's a great question because, I mean, out of all of the players I guess in terms of professional that can be not associated with the MLB, but like minor league baseball players associated with the MLB, the percentage of those guys making a major league roster ever is like maybe 30%.
Yeah.
Which is crazy in itself. And then what percentage of those guys are making it to arbitration? Maybe 30% again, and that leaves you with like 9% of all of professional baseball players are going to reach arbitration.
Yeah.
And then among the guys that reach arbitration, how many are going to reach free agency? Maybe
I'd say that's probably a more generous number.
Probably, yeah.
Let's say like 70%.
70%. So 70% of 9% is like 6%.
Yeah.
So you're thinking about maybe 6% of players who are in the minors, who start out in the minors, reaching free agency. That's a good life, but it's, a small fraction of a percentage. And obviously we don't have the exact numbers. We're just taking guesses.
Let's not forget that the league tried to make a proposal saying that free agency is just when a player hits age 29.
Right. It's so dumb.
Yeah. Let's not talk and not only that, but it's like, think about it. When you're getting 6 years to be in the major leagues before you hit free agency, most likely you're going to hit your prime and therefore the most amount of dollars you can earn in free agency after that point. Like how many players have hit free agency where they could have gotten more if they hit free agency like 2 years earlier? Probably a lot.
Yeah, probably a good amount. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Aaron Judge.
Aaron Judge, that's a perfect example.
Aaron Judge. Yeah, if he
he's going to be, going to be going into his age 31 season in free agency. Yeah, he's going to be going into his age 31 season in free agency. If he hit it, after, let's say, 2020, that would have been his 4th full year of service time.
Right. He's especially someone that would be screwed over. And I mean, imagine imagine a super young guy like Juan Soto going into free agency.
Right now?
Going into free agency
Yeah,
like
dude.
after next year.
Yeah.
Like he would be getting a
$500 billion
he would
contract.
be getting a 15-year contract.
Yeah.
No joke about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's so much more potential for these players and what they earn in it. I mean, it's not like I don't even think we're really being that unfair. I know that maybe like an MLB career is a little longer, but like in football, you're like in football you're getting a 4-year contract when you're getting drafted in like the first round, and then you get an opportunity to like Patrick Mahomes, he started in the NFL for 2 years and then he got a $500 million contract.
Yeah.
Like that would be pretty amazing if baseball could reach that.
And like the system of like very few people making it to the majors, like I don't really think that can change. Like you can only have so many people on a roster.
Exactly.
But like compensate all the people. Like you have the money to do so. Like provide housing, provide food, and update the development systems. Like there was that story about how the Angels had like the worst like player development system in baseball, and like players would be getting traded and be doing so much better. It's like if you think about it, like if you're providing, like the organization is just in a better place if minor leaguers have their own food and their own housing. That gives them so much more time to work on, improving their skills.
Exactly. Like there's no loss there.
Yeah.
Other than, a few $100,000 maybe from a guy who's
From an owner
who's
Yeah.
paying his major league guys $150 million.
The more you look into this, the harder it becomes to respect any Major League Baseball owner.
Right, exactly.
Like even the ones that do spend money, it's like you're a part of this system.
Yeah, because even the guys who do spend money, they're not like they're part of. They're not supporting the guys who aren't
Yeah.
spending money because it's like it helps them out too.
Don't ever forget that Derek Jeter fired a guy, like a scout, who was in the middle of a battle with cancer.
Right.
Like don't ever forget that.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, it's tough. Like with big money like this.
Yeah.
These are just situations you may find.
I just randomly looked back at the Manfred statement. I found one quote that said, "To be clear, this hard but important step does not necessarily mean games will be canceled. In fact, we are taking this step now because it accelerates the urgency for an agreement. Even though there's been exactly one report of the Players Association and the union meeting, which was I think 2 days ago, and it was like the like less important core economic parts of it."
Right.
Like
right.
apparently, like all the reports have said that they're not going to meet until after the new year, which is very funny because that's, it's quite some urgency there from the league, like they were saying.
Yeah.
No, the league's going to try to think, like, here's the thing. The owners don't care about games being played. They don't. They can say they do. They can pretend like they do. They really don't.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't.
The players care about it, and the owners are going to use that to their advantage, and they're going to try to make a deal, like closer to spring training. They're going to lowball their deal, more and more as games get closer. So it's going to be like, oh, you guys are not accepting the offer, and looks like we're not going to be playing the games, and people are going to think it's because of you. Like,
Yeah.
the players are...
Something we actually mentioned in a class when we were asked to break down the lockout for our sports information class was we had a simulation of what exactly this was heading into the shortened 2020 season. We kind of already know what this process is going to be like, which is I guess both fortunate for the viewers and unfortunate because we know it's going to be strenuous.
Yeah.
It's not going to be good. And there's just so many things to address where it's like not everything is going to be addressed probably by the time opening day comes around.
No. Like, a lot of people are being like, oh my god, like this could last till February. Like, if spring training starts on time, I will be shocked.
Yeah.
And honestly, I might be disappointed because that probably means the players give in to stuff. Because the
Right.
reality is, like, the owners control everything.
Right. And like honestly, the how negotiations went heading into the 2020 season provided me more pessimism than optimism for like how something like this would go. Because I mean, when was the last CBA signed?
26. It was between 2016 and 17.
Yeah, I don't think things were talked about as much.
Someone pulled up like an old quote from I think like a Passon column, like breaking it down, and he talked to like a source that said like this is going to set up for war in 2021.
Yeah,
and not like wins above replacement war.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
actual like not good.
This is going to set up for some great seasons. Just you wait till this Japanese guy has 9 wins above replacement.
Yeah. I think the thing that most upsets me is I don't think I've ever heard this being talked about, but think about this for a second. Like everyone who understands what's going on is not on Rob Manfred's side right now, right? And Rob Manfred's also just taken a lot of heat in the last 2 years for several different things. And he's he's sides with the owners on everything because they're the ones that put him in that place. But why is that? Like, do you know how an MLB commissioner gets elected?
Through the owners.
It's literally a vote between the 30 owners.
Yes.
The players have no say. So, let's just say Rob Manfred were to get fired tomorrow. You know who the next commissioner is? The guy that the owners wanted to be there. And you know what he or she is going to do? Whatever the owners want him to do. Like it's not a Rob Manfred thing as much as everyone wants to say it is. It's just whoever the owners want.
Right.
Like the reality is if like his replacement is Rob Manfred 2.0.
That's true.
And that guy's replacement is Rob Manfred 3.0.
Yes.
Because the players do not get any say in this, which is wild. What a wild concept that the guy who controls the players, like the players don't get to choose who it is.
Yeah, there's 30 owners, there's 780 players.
Yeah. Like people always talk about like, oh, like this, this former player, like he's such a great leader. He could be a commissioner one day. You think the owners would ever let that happen? Absolutely not.
Yeah, no.
Absolutely. The owners would never let a player or a former player be the commissioner, someone who understands what it's like to be under the hands of the owners.
Right. Exactly.
Like this system will continue to be broken as long as the owners are in control of who has the most power in the game.
Yeah. And I mean, it makes you grateful for, from a player's perspective, it makes you grateful for the union because it's the only voice they really have at all.
Yeah.
Because they don't have a voice in who runs the league with the commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
And, the owners definitely run the show as well. So
yeah,
it's obviously a very interesting and messed up situation for sure. I would want to get into Hall of Fame stuff, but my computer's at 9%. And
all right, we'll do that next week.
We can get into that next week. We're already an hour 50 into it.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely go more into it if I had like my charger here or something.
Yeah.
But
just like throughout the course of this lockout, don't let yourself get fooled. This is like you're rooting for the players here.
Right, exactly. And I don't think requests are going to be too crazy from the players. It's just probably going to be like less service time required for free agency, some minor league stuff. I wonder how much say the MLBPA can have over the minor league treatment. I'm not sure because I know they're signing minor league deals currently as the MLB's in lockout, but it's like they're associated with MLB, so it's confusing. I don't know.
Well, the Mets. Did you see the Mets unveiled like that new scoreboard yesterday?
No.
So anyway, they unveiled like this massive new scoreboard, but like there was a picture of like the Mets lineup on it, and I was like, wait, they're allowed to do that?
Right. Yeah, and then in the MLB Network scroll, they have like who won MVP and stuff.
Probably the worst part of all this is that the league can still make money on the player's likeness.
Yeah.
Like if you go to MLB.com, they're still selling jerseys of active players.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially around the holiday season, it's like, hey, we don't know this guy, but if you want to buy a Ronald Acuna jersey, yeah, do it. Great player. Money's definitely not going to us, even though we're not supposed to know them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all very bad.
It is very much so. So, this was a good quality, meaty episode. As we head into the holidays, we'll have one more episode before Christmas comes around. We'll probably talk about the Hall of Fame stuff. As that'll probably be like our first or second day back home, so that'll be on Zoom. So go to the YouTube channel for that one also. It's called Above Replacement Radio. If you want to follow us on social media, follow me on Twitter at Chris_Gianta. Follow Daniel on both Twitter and Instagram at Daniel_Curran, and follow the show Instagram at Above Replacement Radio for all of the show needs. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we hope to see you next Thursday, where we're going to be talking about Hall of Fame stuff.
Probably just that.
How the current BBWAA voting is going, which is kind of slow, and
it's been picking itself up.
How the what was the committee called again?
The it was the modern. It was the it was I don't remember. There was the Golden Days era committee and the early baseball committee. That's what it was.
Okay, so how the early baseball committee and Golden Days committee ballots went. So we hope to be seeing you for that episode. So we will see you then.
This conversation is over.